Good day. Welcome to Bossed Up Academy, where you can get your business and real estate needs met. Follow us on IG, YouTube, and as well as Facebook. Every Monday night, we bring you different business owners, and tonight we are bringing you Gilmore Mingo of Super Trucking. Right? Did I get that right?
Wait,
Super Trucking Express.
yes.
Super Trucker Express. I don't know why I can't get this right.
Yeah, no problem. I said you can
And
see in the background.
yeah, so Gilmore, introduce yourself to the audience.
Hey, like I said, yeah, I'm the owner of Supertrucker Express. Been in business ever since 2006. Been driving ever since what 89. So it's been doing this for a while.
Okay. So while we are letting Facebook build our audience, then we're going to take a slight break. So, Gilmore, we've known each other forever, and you said that you have been driving since 1989. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh.
Yeah.
And actually Gilmore and I go back to junior high, where we've been knowing each other for a long time, and ever since school you have been one of the hardest working people I have known. So to hear that you've been in trucking since 1989 is not a mystery to me. But
No, change that. My bad. I mean 98. My bad.
98. Oh, when you said 89, I was like, Gilmore, was you like 11 or something driving your family's trucks or something?
Thing is, I was in trucking before that, but I didn't really start. Being let's say I raised up. My dad doing logging when I was in school, but I didn't actually get my license till 89.
To 98. Huh?
To 98, my bad. I mean, I was in trucking
Yeah.
before.
But it wouldn't surprise me if you had said 89, because like I said, you have been the hardest working person I've known since high school.
Yeah, my
But
bad.
okay, when you got into trucking, what made you go into trucking? You said your dad was in logging.
Yeah, ever since I was young, my dad was a logger. He had a couple trucks, but I just remember ever since I probably was 12, I used to work in the woods, and uh, that's something that where my mechanical background came from. So I knew how to work on equipment. I knew how the basic business worked. But my dad would stay local. He wouldn't overroad. He would just deal with local laws. And then when I turned 21, I wanted to get away from logging. So I wanted to do something different. So I went to truck driving school and went over the road. And then I've been running over the road ever since. But it just my dad really gave me at least a foundation to how business is supposed to work.
So, okay, so when you say over the road, what do you mean when you say over there? Like, how far are you going?
Well, the first company I drove for was California Express. I mean, my first company, first truck driving job was from Morganton to California. So I had never ran locally, or you say within the same state. I always would go at least 300, 400 miles or cross country. That's how all my jobs have been until recently, until the last 2 years. I've been starting to run local more.
Okay, and when you say local, what do you mean as far as geographical area when you say local?
Like local is like more like being home every day. Or local is in, like let's say if I leave and I come back home within a day or a day and a half, I'll call that more local within the same state. But long distance would be being out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. You know what I'm saying? So it just
So, what made you decide that you wanted to be, to go from working for somebody to being an owner operator?
Well, I was a company driver from '98 until 2006. In 2006, I really didn't want to have my own company. In 2006, every company that I was trying to apply for or that paid pretty decent wasn't hiring. So at the time, I had a house payment. I had a lot going on. So the thing is, I had to keep my income up. So that's when I started Super Trucker. I started Super Trucker in 2006. Uh, First 2 years was kind of not really making the profit I wanted, and then I had to redesign it in 2008, 2009 when the company fell. And that blueprint that I did in 2008, 2009 is what accelerated me to today. I'm great right now. I'm kind of glad I did start it through pressure. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but I'm glad I did it after the fact. But like I said, when my dad did logging, we struggled. So I really didn't want to be a company owner. So I wanted to find a good paying job, and I was happy with it. Uh, and I didn't have confidence in starting my own business. But through pressure, it forced me to start my own. And then I think I did it. I was so afraid of failing, so I overdid it. And then that's what paying off now. It's just that, and now I'm glad that I did deal with that kind of fear. I see my dad struggle by having his own business for so long. That's why even now I try to mentor business owners and try to give them a blueprint of what I discover in business. So I try to business owners or truck drivers successful out here. Like I was telling you before, I found out later that trucking have a 98% failure rate. So it wasn't an illusion that I was seeing a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers struggle in trucking. So as I start digging, once again, that is a 98% failure rate within 10-year range. So within 10 years of a person starting a trucking company, only 2 out of 100 still remain in business. So my goal was to be one of the best or the top companies that I can design.
So, when they say pressure creates diamonds, it sure does, doesn't it? And that's kind of interesting because a lot of people go into business for themselves because they feel like they're making all this money for an owner, when your story is the exact opposite, that you couldn't find a job, so you had to create one, kind of like
That's
when
right.
they say, if you can't come sit at the table, build your own, right?
That's
And
right.
so you actually started in one of the toughest times to be starting trucking during a recession, one of the biggest recessions of time most recently.
Correct. Correct. And
So,
you're right. I mean, I feel like that era, especially starting in 2006, that era was great for me to start. And like I said, I had to redesign or re-engineer my blueprint of how I originally started. And now, like I said, Supertrucker Express is 100% efficient. Meaning, I do everything in house. Meaning, I don't deal with any outside uh, people to do anything. I do my own mechanics. I do everything towards the truck. I organize everything. I mean, I do everything in house. I mean, I probably seen the shop 5 times in 15 years.
5 times in 15 years, and people now they see the shop when they got to get a tire change.
Yeah, I do 100% everything in house. So I think I am probably the most efficient trucking company that I know of. I think that nobody can run as cheap as me or as efficient. And also I want to say is as well. I try to make drivers, especially owner operators, or if you start a small company, to love to micromanage your business. Some people make it seem terrible or hate it, but it got to be something that you like doing, something that you see interest in. You don't have to do it all the time, but you have to do it when you have crunch moments. And that's the difference between making it and not making it.
And when you say micromanage your business, tell us what you mean by that.
Okay, like micromanaging is try to run as efficient as you possibly can, right? And you gotta make it easy, right? So let's say I can have a mechanical problem and I can fix it so cheap and so quick that it's shocked people. You know, I have a lot of people that come to me and saying that they're amazed by how I problem solve, right, or how I deal with things, how efficient I can. It's like I was telling you before. I had a turbo that went out, right? So, so the truck was coming in, and turbo actually went out, and I took that turbo off myself and rebuilt it for $200. You know, so and a lot of people don't realize that you can buy a turbo rebuild. I can say a turbo kit directly, but you can buy all the parts, all the internals for like $190, and actually build yourself. So, and I can use so many other examples where I can do things very cheap. And I can break down those examples. Like, let's say your tension pulleys on your engine, right? Those pulleys about $250, $350 a piece. But the thing is, you can change the bearings out for $4, right? So instead of replacing the pulley, you can build the pulleys for less than $8 a piece. So it
So are
costs
you
one man $300.
so you're saying that a lot of your savings comes through knowing the mechanical side of how the truck works.
Correct. Meaning, like, I can give you so many different examples. I mean, it could go from choosing the truck, choosing the engine and transmission drive line, choosing tires. I mean, for example, a lot of people don't research road resistance. So you can have two different type of tires, and one is causing you $300, $400 more per week road resistance. So you burning more fuel by having tires that is too soft of a rubber compound, right? So just by budgeting your tires, that one set of tires can save you $5,000 in a year plus just by buying different grades of tires. So buying certain grades of tires, brake drums, brake shoes, running a certain type of oil actually in your drive line. A lot of people don't realize greasing your drive line cause fuel increase as well, just by keeping a certain grease in your drive line. All they got to turn, right? So more efficient to turn build fuel mileage.
Okay. So not only knowing about, how to operate the truck, you need to know the mechanics. And even if you don't want to, if I'm hearing you correctly, even if you don't want to work on a truck, but if you know enough about that truck, you can direct
Correct.
your mechanic or your
Mhm.
supplier to give you the most efficient thing. So if you understand about the tires, even though you may not want to change a tire, because there's a lot of people out here that just want to be drivers or the
Yeah.
company owner, but you
Correct.
have to know about these different tires that's going to make your truck run more efficient and those little things. And when you got $5,000 here, $5,000 there, with the change of making just two simple changes of tires and oil, that's $10,000 increase to your bottom line, which is almost $1,000 a month, right?
Exactly. Correct. And then also you
So,
don't have to do a shop.
and you said what now?
Okay, so let's say if you have a mechanical problem, right? And let's say you go to the shop and that shop say, well, we backed up, we can't get you in 3 days, right? So you waiting for 3 days, that truck is not moving. But the thing is, if you have a shop or you have the ability to do it, then all you have to do is have the parts and the tools and know-how, right? So I can have a mechanical problem that take one man 3 days. I can fix in 3 hours. I'm back running. So
Right.
those
But I'm
are,
just saying,
are
for the people that don't necessarily like, I just want to drive my truck. I don't want to work on a truck, right?
correct.
What kind of, I was just saying that they can do the things with the tires and the oil, or sometimes if you have a fleet of trucks, it may be better that you do hire a mechanic full time, right?
That's right.
To
Correct.
make certain repairs, even if you don't physically want to do them yourself. So if you have an in-house person that makes your repairs, then you could essentially save yourself money rather than outsourcing it. Is that what you're saying too?
Exactly. I mean, I know some drivers. I know some business owners that have a very well a great mechanic on standby, and that mechanic is pretty much the lifeline of his business. And if you can't find a solid mechanic, that business suffer. You know, I'm telling you that having a very efficient driver or drivers and having well taken care of equipment and really managing that business very well is the lifeline. You know, those are probably the three major things. And also picking equipment that is very efficient. You know, I see a lot of owner operators make a poor decision by buying the wrong equipment. So let's say your first truck, you go out here and buy a 379 Pete or a W9 Kenworth, right? Those are two worst fuel mileage trucks on the road. So the thing is, imagine having a truck that's getting 5 miles to a gallon versus a truck getting 8 miles to a gallon, right? So they're doing the same amount of work. One is giving you way more of a profit. So a lot of times you do some basic figures, you could be looking at $500 to $600 a week difference in profit and doing the same amount of work as the next man beside you. If you look at that in a month, you look at that in a year, you look once again, you're looking at $10,000, $15,000 difference in revenue, doing the same amount of work. That $10,000 can go towards something else. So, and then you look at, if you're paying for a truck 4 years, 5 years, look, you're spending $40,000, $50,000 more just by having a bad fuel mileage truck. So why would you choose that? You should find a truck that is running efficient. Once again, you find parts for a truck that has a very solid driveline, a truck that pretty much you don't have to keep it in the shop to maintain it. That's why you gotta really truly pick out the truck, and that's why I'm very picky on the equipment I choose.
Yeah, okay. So, because a lot of people look at, okay, well, this truck, somebody's selling this truck for $10,000. This truck is going for
That's right.
20,000. I just want to get on the road and hit the road, but you're not looking at the maintenance and the upkeep to say, okay, what is it going to take me to keep it on the road? It's kind of like buying a Toyota Corolla that you can easily find somebody to work on versus a Mercedes that you're going to have to take to the shop and put on a computer.
There you go.
And this
And like I
and
said,
this is your work vehicle.
and also I want to say, I think a lot of people who are listening to this live that deal with trucking kind of understand what I'm finna say now. The trucks that I specialize in is non-emission engines. It's a non-EGR. They have no depth. Those are the engines that I invest into. I don't have any mechanical issues. Well, I have basic issues, but I don't have the emission issues. And I think that's why.
So you kind of talking over our head. So break that down to me.
Oh, okay. So the thing is, you had different. Okay, so in 2003, they came out with a emission system where you had to have EGRs, or the engine had to meet certain requirements in 2003. Then it changed again in 2007. Yeah, somebody just called. Okay, so the thing is that the first major engine that came out with a emission system was in 2003. So it came out with EGR engines. I think the only engine that didn't have the EGR at the time was a Cat. They came out with a twin turbo. But the thing is, and that's why everybody started going to Cat engines until 2006. And then 2007, Cat even stopped producing engines. So after that, it was all emission engines that start having issues from that point. I have the original 2002 or 2003 design that had the non-EGR. So I specialize in that. I don't want to specialize. I don't want to tell exactly what engine I have, but I have a special engine that was only made for 6 months, and I only find trucks that have that engine, and nobody know about it. So it's a special rare engine, and that's a bulletproof motor, and it really truly blows everybody out the water. So it's a specialty motor,
Okay.
but it's a pre-emission engine.
Okay. So knowing your equipment, right? Knowing your
Correct.
equipment, being able to run the best maintenance items on your equipment is going to make you more efficient and help you get a jump start out the gate,
Correct.
right?
Exactly.
Now, let's go into how do you find work?
That's kind of okay. I think I say this. Most drivers have to sometimes suck up personal stuff. You know, I tell people all the time, when things get bad, don't pull normal. So don't pull regular freight when you have more drivers than freight sitting at a certain location, right? So they say if freight is falling, then go towards specialty freight, right? Go towards something that is very rare for a driver to be certified or qualified for certain things. So, I pull oversized, I pull specialty freight, things that can go on RGNs, things that go on step decks, things that have a special clearance. So I try to pull specialty freight, and that will actually make it for me. When one person is sitting and look for freight, I don't sit. Also, I try to have great relationships with people where I try to be the best at what I do. Where where if they have a choice between me and another person, they choose me, right? So the thing is, I always try to gain relationships and also try to pull rare freight. And normally it always pay off. Because it pays way more, so you ain't even have to work as much to survive, right? Versus pulling cheap freight, and you got to run so hard to make it. So I would never ever pull dry van or pull something that the loads is not paying certain things. I specialize in pulling specialty freight. Uh,
Okay, so and that's kind of like having a niche. And we've talked about this before on here. It's kind of like, why does a cardiologist make more than a general practitioner doctor? Because they're a specialist.
right.
So when you and I'm using that analogy so that people can understand what you're saying. If I'm understanding you correctly, that if you find that niche freight that pays more and everybody cannot do it, then
Correct.
the demand is higher. And when the demand is higher, the price surges,
There,
which in turn is your income when you're finding specialty freight that everybody can't pull.
there you go. There you go. So the thing is, I'm just trying to give you a example. So let's say you are in Atlanta, right? And you're looking for a load, and you look on the load board, and you can see a lot of loads that pop up. But normally the loads that normally have the highest rates is the load that the agent struggle to get covered, right? So it could be a special equipment for it. It could be super heavy, it could be super long, it could be something that no one around could have the equipment to move it. But whoever has that equipment to move it is going to pull that high dollar freight out. See what I'm saying? So
Right. So how do I so if I'm just looking on the load board, like you said, and I'm in Atlanta, how do I find or how do I know which is that specialty freight? How do I locate it?
great question as well. Um, okay, I'm thinking I say this. The trailer that I have is must high. Um, it, it's designed to do a lot at one time. So my trailer is adjustable. So I can pull very similar to RGNs. I can pull very similar to a step deck on high design. I can pull containers. I can pull the same thing as a flatbed. I have low levelers. I have ramps, so I can pull things with equipment. All my trailers kind of decked out for that. So I can pull probably 4 different styles of freight. So even though one freight could not be there, but next freight could be there, I still can grab it. Another freight, you see what I'm saying? Something that it could be army equipment, I still can pull. All that still can go on my trailer. And my trailer is specially designed. So I ordered it, and then I did so much. I probably spent $10,000 additional in customizing it to pull something that nobody else can pull. And once again, I don't want to share that, but the thing is that I custom design my trailers to be able to pull things that no one else even think about doing. That's what my trailer is different. You ever see my trailer? Everybody's shocked to see it. They're like, "What is that?" Right? So it just my trailer is pretty much decked out where it can do so much.
So
And I
you did, and so where some people decide, okay, it's either pay me now or pay me later. Either
correct.
you're gonna pay on the front end and have a versatile trailer that
Mm-hmm.
can do multiple things, and even though you paid $10,000 more to have it done that way, but the ROI, the return on the investment,
Correct.
is so much higher when you're out here on the load board and you can pull 4 different types of freight versus just one.
Exactly. Correct.
So it's either pay me now or pay me later. You pay up front, you pay for the extra versatility for the trailer, and you essentially make that money back plus some.
Exactly. And then also I want to say is, like even in the name, Super Trucker, right? So, what my whole blueprint is I try to go up and beyond every driver around me. And also I talk to drivers that do very well, and I say I steal their ideas or steal what they're doing that they make it. But you find the most successful person, and you kind of copy that person. So you don't want to copy the person who struggled. You want to copy the person who really, really, really is doing good and making it, right? And then I sit down with that person and try to have a relationship with that person where they become my mentor. And it's two people that really my blueprint come from. It's a guy named Mike Chilcote. He actually gave me some pointers when I was a company driver. He was actually over a company called DTI. I used to sit down with him. He would actually explain to me the business. So I put that in my blueprint. I met another guy named Doug that was over for Air Solutions. He actually gave me some information as well. So like I said, those people kind of helped me become as efficient as I am, or to think outside the box. So like I said, it is that my goal is to be the strongest. It could not be the biggest, but I try to be the most efficient, and I try to always outthink everybody around me. When one person is going left, I try to go right. I try to always put knowledge and data in all my decisions. Everything I do is thought out.
And that goes back to Warren Buffett saying, when others are greedy, be fearful. Be fearful when
Mm-hmm.
others are greedy. I mean, be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. So that's a part of going in the opposite direction of what everybody else is doing. And then once you find your own lane, that's usually where the money is.
Correct. I mean, I'm just trying to find some tangible things that I can aim to really to not mislead people. I mean, the thing is, I try to talk to drivers one on one so I can answer questions directly. But I have no clue on who actually is in tune to the live. So I like kind of push that person specifically for what they're doing.
So, do you have a contact information that you would like for us to put in the comments for you so that if somebody wants to reach out to you, or do you want us to collect their information and you reach back out to them?
Well, they can reach out to me through my Facebook, or they can call me through my cell number, either or. And then, like I said, we'll sit down and have a game plan in how to make them successful in their knowledge range. But once again, it is the universal language of being successful is still you got something different to get different. You can't do everything normal and then get extreme results. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
so I try to push every business owner to try to be try to be at least in the top 1, 2, or 3% towards whatever you do. I think a lot of times people start a business and they only start in the business to really pay bills, right? They're saying, okay, I just want a company that I can have a decent lifestyle. I can take care of my kids. I can take care of my family. I can have a nice car, whatever. And I just want a business for income only, right? And the thing is, and I get it, but those people who think that way normally don't make it through storms. So the thing is, especially in trucking. Trucking is a very, very uh, the failure rate is super high. So you have to have something, like, even though you're doing it to take care of your family, you have to have something in your mindset to say, I want to be better than average, right? I want to be extremely good at what I do. If 5 people doing the same thing I'm doing, and something happened where they got cut from 5 down to 4 or 5 down to 1, how can I be the last man standing? My goal is to keep my business going. If you average, then you could be cut out, right? So my goal is, and what keep me moving, my goal is to be the number one at what I do. And that is the key ingredient that I've been in business for so long, and I don't see myself going out no time soon. So I just feel like that mindset is what I think is pushing me, over the rainbow and beyond. I would like to push drivers or people, business owners, to say, I want to be great at what I do. Not just I want to do it. I want to be good, right? I want to be extraordinary. I want to be the best I can be towards it. Like, why can't we have that mindset in business, right? And that should even be in a relationship. People should say, I want to be awesome, right? So I think that's the key mindset. Believe that you're awesome and go after it.
Right. And so, and and then people just don't understand that, a part of having that entrepreneur spirit is the competitiveness, and it's not necessarily you competing with the general public, but it's that me versus me. I want to be better than I was yesterday. I want to be better tomorrow than I was last week, last year. I want to be the best. And so a lot of people get that concept mixed up, that they don't understand that you're competing against yourself. You're not competing for the money, because if you are the best, then the money will follow, right? And
Yeah,
that doesn't have to be your main goal, but as long as you're competing against yourself, you're getting better and the money is chasing you down, basically.
right. And like I said, all that's one common denominator of all the success stories I know of. I mean, I don't think success is luck, right? I don't think somebody to say I show up, I really don't put effort in it, but I am the best at what I do. I think that's not true. I think most people who are best at what they do, their agenda is to be the best. They agenda is saying I'm going to apply my best. I'm willing to sacrifice certain things to be good at what I do. And I think they put the effort in. And normally always pay off. I think that I was talking to, matter of fact, I was talking to a business owner yesterday, matter of fact, and I was trying to give him some pointers. And I think what it is, the difference between a lot of people, having a head of what they want to do, or they have a cap to say, okay, I'm willing to do this, but not that, right? I'm willing to sacrifice this, but not willing to sacrifice that part. And I think that the difference is, I'm not saying there should be no limit on what you sacrifice, but I think we should, before we say certain things, we should understand the cause and effects, right? Sometimes your decision to say you're not willing to do certain things is the difference between going out of business and staying in business. And I think that's the reason why I think a lot of people make it when they say, I'm willing to do what makes sense, not doing what I want to do, right? Like, I don't want to do certain things, but it just makes sense, right? It's just the lifeline of my business. I don't want to work on my truck every day, right? I don't want to sit there and research everything. I don't want to have a room full of books where I got to study trucking, I got to study everything, I got to study laws. I don't want to do that, but I got to do that to stay in business, right? So it is that sometimes, even like last year, I grew so much because my business was doing so good. I didn't want to grow that much, right? So the thing is, I had no choice. I'll be honest. Like I think I was happy with how big I was, but the money that came in, I had to move it, right? So it is that sometimes,
So having to move money is that's a good problem to have that a
yeah,
lot of people don't have.
it's a good problem, but I think that sometimes that growth bring discomfort or dis-ease for a minute, because just because you buy more stuff means it's more pressure and more stress behind it, right? So let's say your business doubled, right? Or whatever it is, or you went to more drivers. That's things you got to take care of. That's less time you're gonna have personal. I got to organize that. I got to move it. I'm responsible for that. So imagine if I was maxed out before, I'm really maxed out now. So even though income is coming in pretty good, it is that it taking my personal time away from me until I get everything really organized and arranged, and then I can relax a little bit. But when you first have growth, it takes some time to get organized.
So and that's a part of growing pains, right?
Yeah, true.
And then once you meet that bar, and like you said, organization, a lot of people don't understand, you got to be organized. You can't have chaos. You got to have systems. You got
Like,
to have routines, because as long as you can duplicate money, you can duplicate drivers, you can duplicate energy, you can duplicate time. And people wonder, okay, I only got 24 hours, how are these other people getting all this stuff done? Because they're able to duplicate that time by doing more efficient things and having systems and routines in place,
yeah,
right?
right.
And then you said now you're sacrificing some of your personal time in order to get that organization to buy back your time for later, right? And so, if you don't mind telling us, you said that your business last year grew exponentially.
Yes, way beyond what I imagined. I mean, so I think I explained it to you. So the thing is, I kind of like looked up. I'm not gonna say it's all intelligence. I'm not gonna say it's all, you know, towards that, it is that I put that I was in the right place at the right time, and I grabbed the contract out of Atlanta with FedEx at that time, and like I said, that run last 2 years, but the revenue that came from that was extremely good. I mean, the original contract was only 5 weeks, and then the last 2 years, right? So it went from only a month or so to a 2 year contract, and then and like I said, the revenue that came from that was extreme. That's all I got to say. so, so
It made you a super trucker.
correct, correct. So it just I didn't know it gonna turn out that good, overall. But it really launched me to a point where, like I said, I actually bought this property in general, and trying to add on to the shop and so on. I'm kind of branching off right now, trying to invest into that. Also trying to probably break off and try to deal with FedEx now. Try to have some drivers doing that, and also some drivers doing specialty freight as well. So I'm trying to stay in that market.
So, are you looking for some drivers that might be watching?
Of course. I mean, only thing is, I think that I'll probably explain that to them if the drivers call me directly. But also, what I try to do is, even towards the drivers, I try to design something that make drivers really fall in love with working for me, right? So my goal is to make drivers where they feel like they are in control. So the thing is, even though I'll tell you about micromanaging, I don't really micromanage the drivers as much. I mean, I want the drivers to kind of design their own blueprint. They do whatever they want to do, as long as they do it well, right? So I give them the ability to customize certain things. They can stay at home as long as they want to at times. They can run on the road they want to. They pull certain freight. I just ask them to do a good job when they do it. I just want extreme drivers, right? So that's what I design on that. It's different.
Okay, so the micromanaging is your finance and making your business profitable, and you micromanaging the finance and the mechanics, the things that could drastically reduce your bottom line if you're not careful, if that's what I'm hearing.
Correct. I mean, everything that I control, and even if I have the ability to influence the drivers. I mean, the thing is, like I was telling you before, you have to have a great relationship with the drivers. And a lot of times, if you give a driver great advice, normally they're gonna listen. I think that most people only hard headed something they don't agree with, right? But if you give them something that really helped them, and also you gotta understand what the driver is trying to do. So let's say you got a driver, and that driver got kids, right? That driver got a wife. That driver got a hobby. That driver got certain things they're trying to do. Well, my goal is to not be a company that stop that person from having a life, right? Or stop that person from being happy. So my goal is, how can I design a blueprint that can cause you to really, really love life and love working, right? How can you have both? And I think a lot of people don't do a great job towards that. And that's what I'm saying. If you got a company that runs so efficient, I can be able to adjust. Because you see what I'm saying? Like, it's so many possibilities. And I believe we can apply some kind of intelligence and make something happen.
Okay, now I heard you say something about a shop.
Correct.
That you bought a shop?
Well, I bought the property over on Linwood Drive. It's that 2 acres behind the AO3 muffler shop.
Okay, so are you going to be working on other people's trucks or just your own, or what is your intentions, or what are you doing with that?
Well, the thing is that my goal is to do 1% in-house. My goal is I only work on my equipment. I got enough to stay busy. I don't need outside people. So I don't have to deal with I mean, let's say if I know a person that have a truck, then I could try to do something like that. But we'd be open to regular people. No, it'd be only my equipment, only what I own. So it's only be, you ever see anything partner on that equipment, it's gonna be Supertrucker Express.
Okay, so you actually essentially bought a mechanic shop in order to better serve your truck, so that way when you get drivers, they don't have to be out of work because they waiting on their truck to get fixed. You gonna have it so that they're back on the road as soon as possible.
Correct. But now, before, I had a shop before, but it was on my own property. It was behind my house.
Okay.
and I always worked on my equipment. But now, so I actually bought some commercial property. Uh,
Okay.
so instead of doing it at my own shop, behind my house, well, once again, I decided to invest into this property, and then trying to actually have a large shop to take care of multiple equipment.
Okay. And then a lot of people, and then there aren't, every trucker is not in the struggle, right? Some of them may have had an awesome year like
Mhm.
you did last year or years before that. And now this is another thing that I wanted to hone in on, that you were saying that basically you are expanding your revenues from your trucking to put you in position to win in other businesses and other areas as well, right?
Right, right.
So then that way you're not solely dependent on one main artery for income through trucking. Now you're able to pump some of the revenue that you've gained through trucking into other areas, but those other areas still go hand in hand in what you do, so it's not, you know, overextending yourself either.
Exactly, correct.
Okay, that is, I mean, all of that is awesome. And I think that's something great to give people to think about, that, for the truckers who are making a significant amount of money, and you can reinvest in other areas, so that reduces your tax liabilities and also makes your company run more efficient. So, I mean, man, this has been awesome. I mean, I feel like even if somebody does not want to work on their own truck, just the pointers that you gave on the gas and picking the right tires make a difference.
Yeah, meaning, I'm speaking. I say this real quick. When I first bought my first tractor, I still had the company driver mindset, right? Not, I never had nobody break down overhead. Never had nobody to say to me, "All right, this will be your biggest expense," right? And my first year, I'll be honest, my first year I spent right at 80 grand in fuel. I'll say again, I spent $80,000 went only in fuel only. You know what I'm saying? That's not truck payments. That's not insurance. That's not, taking care of the mechanical, things that broke down. That was only burning. I spent 80 grand. So the thing is, and that's when fuel was like at $5 a gallon. I only remember that back in 2008 or so. Well, that was my first full year. That was back in 2007, 2008 when fuel was going up. That first quarter of that year, it was 25,000 trucks repoed in that first year of 2008. So fuel was a big killer when I was first starting my business. Fuel failed now. I mean, like people, complain about fuel now when it's way cheaper than we used to be. But the thing is that the two biggest expenses to me was fuel and maintenance. Truck payments are easy. You know what I mean? I never struggled making a truck payment. So my biggest overhead had always been, and the next thing behind fuel was maintaining the truck. And also, I want to say, a lot of drivers poorly maintain the equipment. Like, have you ever seen a person who buy a truck and then 3 years later the truck look regular, right? So they went from having the truck that looked decent, and then as the truck runs, the truck is going downward. To me, I do the opposite. If I run equipment, proper maintenance means to maintain, means to keep it the way it is, right? So they call maintenance, right? So people don't understand what maintenance is. So wherever break, fix it and fix it back to original standard. Keep that equipment running solid, right? So my equipment, you don't see age in my truck that much. You ever look at under the hood or under the drive line, it always look brand new pretty much. It look very well, no leaks, nothing wrong all the time. And we call proper maintenance equipment. And most people cannot properly maintain it. If you're stuck in the shop and paying, high labor and so on, you can't afford it. I can. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the difference between running efficient when you can keep your truck running pretty much 90 or 99% all the time.
Right. So, and another thing you point out is don't cut corners.
Exactly, correct.
When you start cutting corners, is either pay now or pay greater later, right?
Correct.
So therefore, I mean, it's just, I mean, a extreme situation that people put themselves in, and they don't necessarily have to be in, but trying to delay stuff, put things off, usually causes them the biggest issues, right?
Exactly, correct.
So, I mean, that's another great point because a lot of people do want to cut corners and they think they're saving, but in the end, it's really costing them, and sometimes costing them more than it would have originally cost them because your truck may not be running as efficient, using more gas because you didn't do the right preventive measures or the right maintenance. So now, if you losing 3 miles to the gallon, and when that's your major source of energy or whatever,
Yeah,
then that 3 miles per gallon can really be costly at the end of the week, the end of the month, and at the end of the year.
yeah, exactly, correct. And like I said, I can give you so many examples even on that. But like I said, it's another thing I learned that from my dad. Uh, you know, my dad, even though he was very mechanically inclined, my dad would wait to last minute to fix anything, right? And that's one thing I hated about how he did it. He would wait until something failed before he fixed it, and to me, I'm the opposite. And as soon as something stopped making noise, I start to problem solve right then. So I'm like, okay, this leaking, it could be start leaking yesterday, right? I bring it in and I focus on it right then. So the thing is, I don't wait till it fails. I don't wait till it go completely out. So soon something got slack in it, got play in it, or whatever, it's time to come off. And I think that some people totally different. Like I'm totally different from most people who have a truck. I just really truly want my equipment to run solid, run safe, where I trust it. I want to make sure that my truck can make it from A to B and not break down. And I think some people they don't wait until it's on the side of the road.
Right. And then when you wait till it's on the side of the road, then now you got not only you got to fix it right, but now you got a tow bill behind that could be hundreds of dollars,
That's right,
cut to even more of your profit, right?
correct. But now also it's cheaper to rebuild than to replace, right? So if you catch it early, you can rebuild it. If you wear it out, you got to replace it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a major difference. Like I was telling you about the turbo, right? The turbo only can be rebuilt if you get it early. And turbos show signs when they start going bad, like they squeak in or they do certain things. If you like for example, when you do maintenance to your truck, you're supposed to pull your air filter cover off and spin your turbo with your hand, right? You spin the blades and you want to push that blade back and forth, make sure they don't hit inside the housing, right? If it hit inside the housing, that means that your turbo got too much wear. Don't wait till it fail, pull it off right there. Start hitting inside the housing, I tear it off. It could still be running, not making a noise, but it failed the inspection. I pulled it off. Guess what? I spent $200, rebuild it, put it back on, and now I got a year, 2 year, 3 years out of that turbo. So the thing is that that's the difference between me and most people. Once again, you can have a mechanic. You cannot do it. Find you a great mechanic that understands that. And that mechanic is willing to check those things and make sure that truck will run efficient.
So even if you don't have a good mechanic all the time, even if you just at least got a good mechanic that's checking your routine maintenance things, then that way it's not making it a emergency 911, the house is on fire situation that you still could be good in certain aspects.
Yeah, correct, correct. I mean, understanding how to have preventive maintenance, and preventive means to keep things from failing, right? Uh, so like I said, once again, if somebody call me, I can explain that to them directly. It's hard to do it right now, but I can go through the training, the drive line, and teach them how to keep it up. How to do proper oil change, how oil to put into it. What kind of, even how often to change the oil on the engine. Also, there's special filters you can actually add that give more as well. Um, all those is things that you need to have, I would think, to really, really, really make it out here. You know.
Okay. So as we wrap up, what pieces of advice would you give to somebody that's just starting out or wanting to start, but with the rumors of the looming recession coming, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'll tell them this: find someone that that been doing whatever you're trying to do. So let's say in trucking, and your goal is to start a trucking company or buy a truck. Find someone that do what you do, that is doing well, and have that person as your mentor. Try to have a relationship with that person where you can call that person in case something fails, something go wrong. You know, if it's something, let's say you struggle towards freight, trucks, mechanical issues, whatever it is, you got a question, you can call that person and know that person is going to inform you and guide you right. Because information is very important. And I learned that the hard way. And that's one of the key ingredients, even for me, to have so many people I can call. And I'm not saying I'm the best at what I do and everything. A lot of that came from other people.
Okay. So the biggest point you would make is even if you've been in business to collaborate with people or have some kind of mentor that can help take you to the next level.
Exactly. I mean, it's way easier to call someone that's been in 25 years and that person give you 25 years of knowledge on the phone than for you to work 25 years to get it, right? You know,
Right.
so I don't want to go through that to get it. If I can call somebody, they can tell me exactly how to get to it, right? How to get the results next day. You know, and I have so many drivers that have helped me towards that. You know, and I can call them on the phone. Even when I first started pulling oversize, I had drivers that was on. I had on phone. You know, had them. You know, in my contacts. So if I pulled the oversize, I was nervous about it, and I'm pulling super wide. You know, like call super wide loads, right? And I would call someone. Look, I got this load, and I'm nervous about it. What should I do, right? And he would explain to me, reel the contract, you know, reel the permit, make sure this straight. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is, we're always nervous doing something we never did before. But it's great to have someone that got you through it. You know, and so to always have a person or literature or research it, Google, always never run something blind. Always search for knowledge.
Okay, so having a mentor and always being a lifelong learner to reduce that learning curve so the experience is not always the best teacher because you may not have enough money to get the experiences because you put yourself out of business.
Correct. So the thing is, mistakes is costly, and the thing is, you can't always know that you can recover from a major mistake. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so
Right.
so I fear, you know, major problems, and I think that's one thing towards me. I have really had no major problem in business. I think it'll be a smooth route towards those issues. You know, I never had no. I've been lucky. I'm saying like no accidents, no DOT issues. I'm tell you something. In my year, I think 18 years having my own business, I think I had zero DOT violations. I think you know what I'm saying. I never been pulled into the shop and they found something wrong or put me out of service. Not one time since I've been in business. So I don't have those issues. You know, so I've been very safe on that.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think this has been very insightful. I've got your number on the screen. So that way, if anybody wants to reach out to him, he's more than, and when somebody is more than welcome to speak to you on their personal cell phone and about
Right.
business at this time of day when there's so many people that just they want to be a hoarder of information and it's every man for himself, God for us all type of world. This is, I mean, truly a treat to allow somebody to do that. And thank you for coming on and opening your brain and your business to Bossed Up Academy. Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem at all. I appreciate you actually inviting me.